We have Bob White live in the studio today for some fun. We're just about to get the show started, so thank you so much for tuning in today to the show. It's going to be fun. All right. Thank you to Quest Nutrition for supporting our show, and also Swap Fuel. I didn't know if Bob, he stays in great shape. I don't know if he'd want the Swap Fuel, so we didn't bring him any today, but we can ship some out to you if you're looking for that extra focus. I think he's pretty focused, though, so I think he's pretty focused, right?
Do my best.
Exactly. I love it.
Let's get a shout out to Shauna.
Shauna Ferrigno, happy birthday, girl. Happy birthday to you today. I know, wow, you finally hit 29. I love it. Exciting. It's always exciting. I hope you're having a good birthday and getting spoiled as you deserve. And I think she was at Malibu Wines today, having some fun with her guy. So that'll be fun. We've got some books. I don't know anything about them yet, so I can't wait to hear about the book.
Great.
Yeah, we got lots to talk about today. You're coming in all the way from Costa Mesa?
Costa Mesa, yes.
Okay, Costa. See, okay. I love it there. It's so pretty.
It is.
It's a beautiful area. Beautiful, beautiful.
One of my favorites still.
Yes, I've been out there a few times we went up for another Hall of Fame event. It was great, the Black Belt one. Which one was that one, Dan? Dan remembers everything.
I remember that one.
Except for this time. Usually almost everything.
Was it the Martial Arts Hall of Fame or Masters Hall of Fame?
Masters or Martial Arts with, and Don was out there, Art Camacho, TJ Storm, Cynthia Rothrock.
That was more like a seminar,
Christos
really.
Santos. Was it?
Yeah, the seminar with...
Well, they had the awards after.
Yeah, that was more Laguna Niguel, wasn't it?
Gala?
Okay.
Okay, well,
Laguna Niguel thing at the health club?
Yes, absolutely.
Stand by.
Welcome to the TLC Unleashed Show, Hollywood Vibes, Sports and Life with your host, Traci Lynn. This show is brought to you by Quest Nutrition. Cheat, clean, and make healthy eating fun with Quest Nutrition products.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the show tonight. We are here, Hollywood Vibes, Sports and Life with TLC Unleashed. Traci Lynn Cowan. Live in the studio tonight, we have the one and only Bob White, Grandmaster, 10th degree, black belt. I mean, you have such an amazing career. I cannot wait to talk about everything that you've been doing and your organization. So welcome. It's an honor to have you on my show.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah.
Been looking forward to this. So it should be a fun day. I
know, me too. And we've got some books here too to go over and talk about the success of your career. I mean, you go back you've got over 50 years experience.
I do.
Okay.
I do. I've been very fortunate. Okay. Yeah, Kenpo. I started in a Japanese style, but I came to Kenpo in 1966.
Okay.
And that was the Ed Parker system, and I've been with that ever since.
Okay. Tell us for the people that don't know, the viewers and listeners that don't know what Kenpo is.
All right. Kenpo is basically a Chinese style, but what made Ed Parker really unique is that he tried to innovate and make improvements in the art. Okay. Rather than being locked onto a traditional style, he constantly tried to innovate and more adjust it to today's society versus to the old traditional methods.
Okay, amazing. Ed Parker, tell us a little bit about Ed Parker as a person.
Well, he was larger than life. You know, he was really the father of American karate and brought karate to the forefront, and not only in the martial arts community but in the movie industry. He's really responsible for introducing a lot of different fight scenes and concepts to the Hollywood crowd, and then it just took off, of course. You know, he introduced Bruce Lee to the American public. Chuck Norris got his notoriety by winning his tournament in 67 and 68. And just a lot of careers were launched there. And he had the big tournament in Long Beach every year, starting in 1964, and it just became the showcase for American karate.
Amazing. How did you get into the sport and into the industry?
Well, I was always an athlete, and I had a great athletic career while in high school, and I was playing college baseball. But before that, when I was 14, I had a high school coach that was teaching at a local health spa, and I got involved with him at the spa and just really liked it. And then when they I started getting involved in tournaments, and competition was something I loved.
Yeah.
So I just really gravitated toward that, and that's really what kept my interest the first 20 plus years of my training.
And I read too that you had the ability and the opportunity to go play pro baseball. Was that
Well, I
correct?
could have signed a contract right out of high school, but I was really concerned about being drafted into the Army. It was really at the height of the Vietnam War. So if I would have signed the contract, I would not have had a draft deferment,
Okay.
which means I would have been vulnerable to going in. If I would have been drafted, I would have gone, but I certainly didn't want to.
Yeah.
So I had a school deferment, and then as years went on, they had the draft lottery number, and I was like 350. I was going to go after women and children. So
Okay.
at that point is when I became a full-time karate instructor.
Okay. And you have your own studio as well, and that is in Costa Mesa?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had my own school since 1972. It's the only
Wow.
thing I've ever done for a career
Okay.
since high school.
Wow.
And I've been very blessed. You know, I love coaching. I remember what an impact great coaches had on me and my
Yeah.
career, and I wanted to be that type of coach.
Mm.
And I think as a kind of a process of studying different coaches, you know, you pick up techniques that really work, and you try to gravitate toward that, and you know, utilize their technique. Like at our school, probably John Wooden is quoted more often than Kachin Funakoshi, or in some
Yeah.
cases even Ed Parker, just because he was such a great man as well as a great coach.
Okay. And so you were obviously competing in as well. So how did you go in from being a student to being a coach and having your own school? Because a lot of people want to transition to that and don't really know how to.
Well, I was very fortunate when in about 1969, 1970, the Kung Fu television show came out. Then later on, Billy Jack, and the interest in karate just took off. So it became necessary to get more teachers. And because more teachers were needed, it created job opportunities.
Okay.
And so I really started teaching in 1968
Yeah.
while in high school, right out of high school. And because of the necessity, I had an opportunity, I liked it, and it kept me in the studio, which was great, because that's how you develop your skills.
Absolutely.
And I didn't want to settle for mediocrity. You know, when I played baseball or football, I tried to make it a point to work harder than anybody else. And the fact that I had this chance to be in there was something that I really loved.
Amazing. And a lot of people don't realize how conditioned and how much work it is, and how much exercise it is to do, the martial arts and the karate. Is that what you've done to keep in shape and keep healthy over the years?
Well, I really have tried to make it a point. You know, that's, our body's a tool of our mind, so I've really tried to stay in good shape. You know, they're honestly, that's one of the things that I address in my book, is there was a period in my life where my lifestyle affected my conditioning. And dealing with alcoholic behavior is something that I address. It was one of the demons in my life.
Yeah.
It was alcohol, and then later on, last year, I got 2 different types of cancer.
Yes.
And that kind of were setbacks. But like my doctors were telling me, the fact that I was in good shape
Yeah.
really sped my healing process.
Wow.
And for that, I'm truly grateful.
Amazing. Yeah, and congratulations to you on your sobriety. I know you have quite a few years behind you. And
I do now. Yes, I've got 28 years of not drinking, and it's just been life-changing.
Yeah. And I want to ask you, if you don't mind, please, because there's a lot of people, there could be a lot of people in the industry and also out there that do suffer from diseases and illnesses, and also, alcoholism and drug addiction and things like that. What were the turning points for you to be able to get through that, and get into sobriety through your career?
Mostly pain, is really what it is. And, you move away from pain and toward pleasure. And when people get to the point where they can't do that anymore, they can't live like that anymore, then major decisions have to be made.
Yeah.
And if there's no pain, there's no necessity to change. Rick Warren, famous pastor in Orange County, talks about don't waste the pain. And the pain can be used to help you make change. And I've seen it over and over again. If there's no pain, there's no change. Because you can rationalize anything. You know, honestly, before I stopped, hopefully for good, before I stopped 28 years ago, I had stopped many times stating I'll never do this again, only to fall back into the same pattern.
Of course.
But it was explained to me that you never have to feel that way again. All you have to do is to not drink. So it was a great motivating factor. And plus I had just acts of the Lord bringing people into my life that were so significant that were kind of coaches. Then when I reframed it and I started thinking of it, to be successful in martial arts, you have to be coachable. Successful in any athletics, you have to be coachable. And if you're not, what happens? It normally doesn't work if you're not on the same page. So I became very coachable, and I listened to what was suggested, and I did those suggestions. Because I had many years of teaching karate at that point, and I know the people that did the best were people that listened to me. Put their guard down and were receptive to the coaching and the lessons, and as a result, they ended up developing their skills. And my skill was pretty simple. All I had to do was suit up and show up and listen to my sponsor. That's who it is. Your coach is a sponsor. And I did that, and I still deal with this gentleman that became my sponsor almost, well, every week. I had a private with him this morning, actually.
Good.
And he takes lessons from me. But in reality, I've learned so many more important things from him. So it's kind of a great trade-off.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that as well. I, you know, made some choices in my life where, you know, you go down the wrong path, and it is so true. You either, you know, have pain or pleasure, and we do things in order to gain either one of those. So when you've had enough, you know, you dig back deep. Not a lot of people can get through that. So, and again, I do commend you.
Well, thank you. The odds are against you. But the reward is beyond your wildest dreams.
Absolutely.
You know.
And that's what I like to share with people, because, you know, there are a lot of people suffering out there with things that they are keeping a secret. And, you know, I found the biggest thing to get through any addictions or anything like that is to not keep a secret and uncover it and let it loose, basically, so that you can get help. Because as you said, you have these key people in your life that are helping you and coaching you, whether it's a, you know, sponsor in a program, whether it's, you know, in a coach in a baseball game, or whether it's a karate instructor or a grandmaster. It's all the same thing, because they've taken their tools from their toolbox and what they've learned in life, and probably a lot of pain as well. And, you know, they can carry that on and pass that on to us. And we can also pass that torch on to other people. So it's all about reciprocating and teaching and helping other people to learn and grow.
It is, and that's exactly how it works. It's one alcoholic talking to another. It's a lot easier to take coaching baseball as an example from somebody that's played the game before, and he has a track record of success and what he did to become successful, and then you gravitate toward that listening and coaching.
Do you think if you were still in your active alcoholism that you would be able to get through the cancer like you did?
No, I don't. I think the tools I learned in recovery, the one day at a time concept, because I didn't have just a cancer, I had 2 cancers. In fact, when I was about halfway into the book, and I went in to see my radiologist who had applied all the radiation treatment, and he was telling me, he goes, you know, you had 2 cancers, that's really inspirational, because you ought to think about writing a book. And I said, well, as a matter of fact, he's actually one of the endorsements in the book. But the tools that I learned, and plus, as we talked about who you spend your time with, and I'm very blessed, and I get to spend my life with my wife, who is
Barbara.
Just tremendous. And
Tell
she
us
is,
about Barbara.
Well,
she's
she's
been
just
a big part in your life.
has been one of the great gifts in my life, a great gift of sobriety. She drinks normally, like one glass of wine. Yeah, exactly. And but she's also an oncology nurse.
Oh, wow.
And so when the cancer was there, she knew how to treat it. Plus, our daughter had Hodgkin's lymphoma when she was younger, so it was not Barbara's first exposure to it, besides just at work, but somebody that she cares about.
Wow.
But she's just the best person I've ever met.
Aww.
I sincerely mean that.
And how many years of marriage?
About 15 now.
Okay.
We came late in life, but she was a student at the studio, and I developed a tremendous amount of respect for her first. So we had this great friendship, and then after a while it turned into romance. But the friendship first, and the respect hasn't. They say time exposes or promotes. The longer I know her, the more promoted she is to me, anyway.
Oh, I just got goosebumps.
Well, she's the best.
I love that. And I always ask people that have, 10 plus, 20 plus years of marriage behind them, what is the secret to your successful marriage?
Well, I've been in charge for a long time, like at the studio.
Yes, of course.
It's not a democracy, it's a dictatorship. But in our marriage, it's not. In our marriage, it's a democracy. I don't need to be a boss. I trust her judgment. She trusts my judgment. So we work things out very well. When we had a blended family when we were married, and we took a Christian class called Smart Step Families.
Okay.
And we developed some skills to deal with the other person's children.
Of course.
And it worked out perfect. Like, whenever there was good news to her children, I got to give it. Whenever it was discipline, then she got to do it. And the same thing with my children. So I constantly, and she constantly, was the good person. She's carrying the good message. So it was a great 8-hour class that we took that has saved us a lot of maybe uncomfortable.
Grief.
Well, it could be grief.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we never experienced it.
That's great, because blended families are hard. I've experienced it, and
It can be.
and if you're not on the same page, or you don't have an understanding of, but you have to love the children like they're your own.
Yes.
And that's the key thing. And a lot of people, are coming from a selfish place, I find, and especially when they're coming into a new marriage or relationship, and the kids are involved. You always have to remember to put the kids, kids first, but also have that great solid relationship and respect for everyone.
Correct. And we've really tried to maintain that. We have between us 6 daugers.
Okay,
So,
wow.
I keep going way down the chain.
There's a lot of estrogen in that home.
Oh, there's no
Bob,
question.
you're a strong man.
Well, I get my strength through surrendering. That's how it works.
You have to with that many women around you.
Oh, yeah. They're all great. We have just a great relationship. They all get along real well, and it's been blessed by God.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Tell us about your experience as the referee in the Karate Kid.
Well, it was fun. We had, because our school was really geared toward competition. Yeah. We had a great reputation. So one of the guys in a recent interview you did, I watched it with Chris Casamassa. He was talking about what an influence Pat Johnson had with him. Pat was the guy that choreographed all the fight scenes in the movie and was the head referee. Well, he got in touch with me because they needed to have a karate tournament that was filmed like 3 days in a row. Okay. So what Columbia Pictures did to make sure the kids would come back, instead of giving away trophies, they gave away television sets.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of our kids were walking around, looked like they had just left a riot and were looting. they were loaded up. But while I was down there, Pat came up to me, he goes, "Bob, come over, I'm going to make you a movie star." And he asked me to come over and be a referee. And then after the movie was over, I was hired by Columbia Pictures to promote the movie on the East Coast. Yeah. Actually, the Southeast, which was perfect because it was all sunny, and Miami and Tampa Bay, and it was just a tremendous experience. Nice. Then we were involved in Karate Kid Part 3, and actually the latest one with Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan. We were involved in some of the promotion with that. So it's been a lot of fun.
Amazing.
Yeah, fun stuff.
What do you love most about being in the martial arts world?
Well, most of it is because I get to be in a position of coaching and having an influence on helping people improve their lives and become better people. Many times with kids throughout the years, I would have them do something and tell them, you're going to come back, you'll thank me when you're older, is kind of a coin line, but now they do. Now they come back, and I'm working with the grandkids of the children I used to work with, and they come back, and they're just so thankful for their training.
Amazing.
You know, it gives them, you know, it sets goals. It's so much more than fighting.
Yes.
It gives them self-control, improves their image, the way they think of themselves.
Yep. Self-worth, self-confidence, and discipline, and accountability, suiting up and showing up, like we talked about.
Correct.
You know, and it's such an amazing thing. I started martial arts a little later in life, and I found this love for it that I can't even express, because it allows me to express myself and just really get out that, you know, extra energy in me, but also just it's a form of expression. And I just, you know, my respect that I have for my senseis, Jacob Bresler and Jennifer Silverstein and Spice Williams Crosby, and just all the people that have been key people in my life and teaching me stuff, and Mel Novak, thank you to him. Just, it's been phenomenal what I've learned and learned about myself. You know, I learned a lot of self-discipline through a lot of life experiences and a lot of pain. And, you know, now I've come through this newfound passion and love for it. And taking the Krav Maga and then a little bit of Wing Chun, Muay Thai, boxing. I'm also boxing. I have a new boxing coach, Nino Christiani, so thank you. And just loving it. And you know what? Just the energy I have is incredible. You know, I could train for 10 hours a day. I'm no lie.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. You know, so many people come into the studio after being on the freeway all day long, and they're just worn out, but they end up leaving with more energy than when they came in.
Energized.
Yeah, it does. It's wonderful.
It's so amazing. So I want to talk a little bit about your invitational that you've been doing since 2005 for the kids. I just find this so incredible, and I just want to talk about it a little bit so we can share with everybody and find out how we can bring other kids involved, and when your next invitational is.
Great. It's been a wonderful experience. It kind of matured to what we're doing now. The first year we were invited to go up and do a demonstration at the kids' camp. And I really didn't know what it was about. And honestly, I had kind of a resentment when I found out it was all the way up in Lake Arrowhead. So I'm driving in traffic thinking, boy, I got to be careful what I agree to do, and all of this sniveling and stuff like that. But what happened, I went up there and I got to see what the counselors do. And I was convicted. I go, boy, I'm complaining about this. These counselors are up here all week long with these kids. These kids, they're all 7 to 11. They're abused beyond anything that I could describe. They've been taken away from their biological parents because of the abuse. And it's just terrible stories. But then heartwarming stories, too, when you get to see, as an example, on Monday they cry all the way there. On Friday, they cry all the way back because they don't want to leave.
I bet.
Yeah, it's been remarkable. So we went up there for the first year. Second year, we were invited back. And on the way back, one of our black belts suggested we do a tournament. And I said, well, I've thrown tournaments forever. I started in 1973 or 74. And I go, I'm not really interested unless we do one for charity. And still not thinking of Royal Family. So I got home. And I mentioned that to my wife, and she goes, well, why don't we just do it for Royal Families? That's the name of our group. And I said, that's a great idea. So we threw the tournament thinking we'll raise $500 or $600 for kids. And the first year we raised $12,000. Next year, $24,000. Next year, $48,000. Next year, we're in the $100,000s, and now we've raised over $1 million.
That is remarkable.
It's just a great thing. And it's not just my wife and myself. We have a team of people, and they're actually the Kenpo community. Another guest you had somewhat recently, I think Benny Urquides, comes every year and helps out and helps us raise funds by doing a seminar. And
Benny the Jet.
Yeah, this year, as one of our auction items, we had the guitar from one of the famous groups in the area that Benny works with. I think Guns N' Roses was the guy.
Oh, wow.
And it raised, you know, thousands of dollars. But it's things like that when people come together and contribute. Now we're really international. We have money coming in from the Netherlands. One of my very closest friends has 3,000 students in Ireland. His name is Eddie Downey, and he raises thousands of dollars every year for Royal Family Kids Camp. So it's, like I said, more of a community now, and it's so great to see the community come together to help.
That is beautiful.
So our next one will be in March. Even though the money that we raise goes to a camp that will be going on this next week. And my wife is the camp nurse, and she has been now for, I think this is going on 11 years.
Yeah.
But she goes up there, leaves on a Sunday, and just gets worn out because she doesn't hardly get any sleep. These kids they recognize that what they need to do to get attention sometimes because they haven't had any. Some of these kids have never even had a birthday present or a party. So I mean, it's sad, but what's great, we've been doing it long enough that we've seen kids that were campers come back years later as counselors because they've turned their life around, found out that there was a God, and they found out to put their faith in God, and as a result, they have direction. And they come back later on and help other kids, and that's just wonderful.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's been a great thing.
Thank you for what you do, and if you need any kind of help or support, we extend our offer to you, and I would love to be part of that. Thank you. And just, you know, anything that we can do to help kids, and, you know, especially being in these situations and seeing them come out, you know, a brighter, you know, better person, and also being able to have hope and faith that things are going to get better, and know that they're loved. They may not, you know, have that love and attention from their biological parents, but, you know, having the love and affection and attention from you and your family. And
it's great to see. When I was in the hospital, the first thing I had was a Whipple surgery. I don't know if you've heard of this, but it's a terrible, terrible surgery. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. But the Royal Family kids sent over a prayer blanket, and it just, you know, made me get emotional. And it was a tremendous thing. So my daughter, who just moved actually to Arizona, just got her master's in marriage and family counseling.
Oh, wow.
But she was working with a lot of Royal Family kids that are in their mentoring program. And so she's gets a chance to work with them after they somewhat graduate, after 11. So they're like 12-year-old seasoned veterans.
I love that.
And she does that work, and it's an ongoing process. The camp started off in Newport Mesa, right across from the Orange County Fairgrounds. And now there's probably 250 camps around the world. In fact, we started our own camp down in Chile. We gave them like $10,000, which goes a lot. It goes a long way down in Chile. So they started, and now they have like 12 camps. So it really, unfortunately, child abuse is all around the world.
It is. Well, you are doing amazing things, so thank you for that.
Well, it really has been my pleasure, but you're welcome. It's been, I was asked recently how you stay sober after you quit drinking. And you stay sober by being in service.
Absolutely.
And every time things are starting to go upside down in your own life, think about what you can do for somebody else. And we have a built-in method of being in service, not only to our own students, but to Royal Family kids or people in our community that are maybe having health issues. So we do a lot, and the reason we do a lot is because we want to help, but at the same time, it just does so much for us.
So rewarding.
It is.
And people don't realize that, and that's the thing, and that's why I tell people, just get out there and just do anything and be a part of life, and get in there and suit up and show up. That's the biggest thing. Some of my most profound and beautiful memories in life have been just going out there and being in Skid Row and being able to touch these people and give them a hug and hand them a fresh pair of socks or hand them a bottle of water and just say, you know what, you're loved and God bless you. And, you know, that connection that we've lost so much, and that human connection with other people, you know, touch, sight, just looking into somebody's eyes, making eye contact. I had this experience with this woman this recent Mother's Day. We were down at Skid Row with Rockin' Socks, which is a charity that we do, and we go hand out socks and water and blankets and whatever we need to the, you know, people on Skid Row. And this one lady had 5 of her kids there and her husband, and they were all in a tent. And I mean, the streets are littered, and the streets are, you know, need a lot of work and a lot of love and a lot of attention. She came out of the tent and she just looked at me and she said, and she started to cry, and I started to cry. We said no words to each other. We said no words, and she just
the connection was there.
Yeah, and
That's
she
awesome.
said, she said to me after, we had a cry and we held each other, and she said, I don't know what pulled me out of my tent, but something pulled me out of my tent, and I knew that I was supposed to be out there.
Wow.
And I knew that I was either supposed to meet you or just supposed to be here right now. She goes, I don't even want anything from you.
That's
And,
tremendous.
you know, and I still...
What a feeling.
Yeah.
You can't put a price tag on it.
No, those are priceless moments in life,
Yeah.
and if we can get out of ourselves for 1 second of every day, just to do something nice, a random act of kindness for people, and not even share it with somebody. Like, just do a random act of kindness for other people, and just see how your life will start to evolve and change.
Yes.
Once we get out of ourselves, you know, because we get in our own way, and we get stuck, and, you know, we get in these selfish behaviors and a lot of the egoic thinking, and as we know, the stinking thinking gets involved, and
Sure.
and you know, if we just stop and slow down and see what other people need, because the thing that I've learned over my lifetime is that you have to give it away in order to keep it.
Well, and there's no question. You know, one of the things I address in the book is we had done the work for royal families for years, and we had done some fundraisers at the school for people that had health issues. Never thinking that we would be in a position where people would do something for us. It never was our intention. It wasn't like eventually it'll be my turn. That was never a
Yes.
thought process. The idea of me getting cancer, I've been super healthy my entire life. But what happened when I got sick, like I said, it was a solid year. When I got sick, these unsolicited acts of kindness from around the world to generate prayer, to generate good wishes, food being brought over, visits to the hospital, and fundraising was amazing. We'd never imagined. There was big fundraisers in Ireland, just all over the United States, tournaments. They ended up raising, I don't know, well over $80,000 for us. And it was something, you know, first of all, your ego, you don't want to accept
Of course.
that. And then, as it became longer and longer, we were away from the studio, it was life-saving. Because without that, you know, it would have depleted our equity in our home, or, you know, our life savings, and it would have put us in this gigantic hole. But because of these acts of kindness, it just was somebody threw us a life raft, and we had no idea that that would ever take place. So,
Well, it's well earned, Bob, and deserved.
that was a wonderful thing
Yeah.
to do. Barbara and I were just, you know, thanking God, you know,
Yeah.
every night, and we still do.
Absolutely, and you have to. And, you know, not everybody believes in God, and, you know, they have their higher power or whatever they believe in, angels, spirit guides. And, but always just to have something of hope, a bigger, stronger meaning, because there's obviously something bigger than us out there. And we have to, you know, living in gratitude no matter what we are faced with. Adversity, the diseases, illnesses, death. You know, we're always going to face it because it's part of life, unfortunately. It's just really in our attitudes and how we push forward.
I believe that as well, because I've lived both ways.
Yeah,
And I know which
Me
one
too.
causes discomfort, which one causes pain, and what gives you peace, and that's that acceptance, that there is something bigger than you in control.
Absolutely. And it also, it takes a little bit of pressure off too. So for those who don't, you know, because some days I'm like, you know what, I'm just giving it up to you, and I don't even want this. I'm not doing this right now. I'm just taking, you know, I surrender. Full control is to you, and I'm getting out of the way.
Yeah.
And, you know, and
No,
that's when the blessings come in.
I felt that the same way with my sponsor calls it just like pancakes. You got to turn them over, you know. And that's what we were doing here. We just were turning it over, and it's certainly, you know, it's, I don't know your experience with me. I'll have these great moments of clarity and then peace, and then the next day I want to grab the steering wheel back and think I'm in control.
Absolutely.
And then you're uncomfortable, and you're not, you know, you don't have direction. But then that's why the people that you spend your time with are so important.
Oh, amazing. What we feed our minds full of, and having those people around you. You know, I prayed for, it's been interesting actually, my experience in the last of this year my prayers have been very specific, because when I'm not specific, I get a lot of pain, because I'm not clear and concise on what I'm looking for and my blessings. So when I pray now, I pray for the people that aren't supposed to be in my life, that are unhealthy, body, mind, and spirit, to be removed from my life. So now when people are removed from my life, I say thank you, because I see it clearer now, because I understand, because I'm praying for it, because I only want to be surrounded by people that are going to uplift me and I can uplift them. And it's a reciprocal thing, because I want to grow and I want to elevate, and I want to grow and elevate other people.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, oh yeah, okay, I recognize that. Okay, so this is clearing a path out of the way for something bigger and better to come in.
Yeah.
And so when that clarity comes in, you have to be willing to thank, whatever you believe in, and say
Correct.
thank you, and be grateful. Living in gratitude has saved my life, literally.
Nice.
Living in gratitude not every day. You know what? I do live in gratitude every day, but it's not as always like 100%. Some days it's like 2%.
Sure,
And
I understand.
but as long as you're making an effort, it's like anything we do: karate, your job, your relationships, your friendships, your being a parent. All these things. If we're just applying a little bit and making an effort, it goes a long, long way. And, I count my blessings now, because I know what it was like to live in the suffering and the struggle. And so that's why people always go, why are you always so positive? And, you're like, nothing affects you. And it's like, no, that's actually not true. A lot of things affect me.
Yeah.
It's the way I handle them, because I know that it's out of my control. And when I try to control it, that's when problems start happening.
Yeah.
So, we live and learn, and we go through it. It's not great every day, but...
Well, exactly. What is Charles Swindoll? Have you ever seen his thing on
Yeah.
attitude? Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It's only, what is it? It's not 90% of what happens to you. It's the 10% on how you deal with it, or it's 10% of how you deal with the adversity.
In your attitude,
Yeah, and who you spend your time with.
That is so important.
Yeah.
There was one of the things off of a meme off Facebook the other day, and it was like 10 things, that are most important to you. And I think number one was who you spend your time with, if you're disciplined, all these different things. And it was hard to pick out of the 10. But then I realized after I thought about it, I thought, staying hungry in life, and 10 rules of success it was. And then I realized it was who you're spending your time with.
Sure.
Because anytime I spend time with people that I know I shouldn't, and we know because that intuition kicks in,